Good, 7:30, time to start. Many thanks for all attendees. I see we have a few people watching on Facebook already. Good that you joined. Many thanks for joining. So Sebastian Eggermont, I'm located in Brussels from Commodore Users Europe. Welcome to this. I don't know which number of or which edition it is of this event. We have a nice agenda, of course, today. I hope, like every time. Let us start then. But before we start, I have two short announcements to do. The first one is that we just started a new Discord server for Commodore Users Europe. So it's brand new. There is absolutely nobody yet in, but you have the link there. I will also post the link later on in the chat and possibly in the also on Facebook for people to join. So I'm not that used to Discord yet, but I guess we can create so many channels as we like. I hope there will be like good and fruitful discussions there. Maybe people working on the same type of project will join there. Maybe I hope that some of the speakers will join as well, so that in case there are some questions, they can orient to either their own channel or to let's say other pages or something with information from their project. So that's the first announcement. New Discord server. I hope you're joining. For those who are on Discord, if you're not, maybe that's the occasion to join, to register yourself and have a look at what it is. Second announcement is that very soon there will be the Amiga 38 event in Germany, Mönchengladbach or something like that. I'm not sure I pronounce it correctly. So last year we were there just attending, and it was like a really nice event. So this year we said, okay, why not having a table there as well? So there are like tables for people who are selling things, and then there are like user tables for people presenting project or something like that. So we took a user table there in the name of Commodore Users Europe, so that you can just maybe if you're joining there, just come around and discuss. If you have any for the previous speakers and current speakers, I would say from this event today, if you have any, I don't know, promotional material, any freebies or whatever that you would like, even if you're not, if you are not able to attend yourself, but if you want something to be distributed there, you can send to me and I can have that on display there for you. That is a little bit the idea, because from our side there's not that much to do there. It's more like being present and meeting the people, let's say the good friends who have been presenting here before. And last year, for example, we had people from Amiberry, so. And also presenting was a few, I would say colleagues, but not really colleagues, but friends from the retro computing area. There was Giancarlo presenting his Amiga keyboard, etc. And we made quite some good friends over there. So 7 October. If you are in the area, don't miss that one. And then for the where we will be exactly, so you have the main entrance that is here, the recital hall. Main entrance is there. It's very simple to find us. We are right in the middle. So on the left are the stairs to go to there's a kind of stage where they do like presentation, interviews of people, etc. And then you have this huge area here. Usually we identify the bar, right? That's a good place that everybody will spot. If you spot the bar, we are just like in the middle here. The I3 will be the table for Commodore Users Europe. So I will be there, definitely, and you are more than welcome to pass by. this being said, let's start with the agenda of today. So you see we have like five talks today, starting with Marc Dendooven, nicknamed El Dendo. And we start with PL0 compiler in BASIC on C64. So I will stop sharing now. But right before we start, maybe good to remember that these talks, each talk will be recorded. So I will start recording. Of course, we are in Europe, so there is a regulation that is called GDPR, close to the let's say the rights of the consumers, etc., and about privacy. So in case you don't agree to be recorded, then yeah, you can always quit from here and attend from the Facebook page, because there, of course, that is yeah, public, and there is no identification of who is attending. So Marc, if you are ready, then you can start sharing your screen. If you start sharing screen, I don't know. And you are currently muted, so you need to unmute yourself. And I will also start the recording. So Marc, you need to unmute yourself. You're still muted, Marc. So just need to click on your there is a microphone somewhere.
Opheffen, zeg hij. Okay. Now, do you hear me now?
Yes, yes. Now we can hear you. Perfect. Good. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Okay. Do you hear me now?
Yes, and I can see your screen as well.
Okay, thank you very much for attending. My name is Marc Dendooven, call sign El Dendo on the web, and I want to talk today about programming the Commodore 64 from scratch. That's the name of the project I am doing. Are you seeing my slides for the moment?
Yes, I can see your screen. Yes, your slides.
Your slides. Okay. Well, since it's the first time I'm attending here, I'm going to present myself. I'm a retired officer of the Belgian Army. I'm an engineer. I attended the Polytechnic department of the Royal Military Academy, and I did a master after master in applied computer science in the VUB, the Free University of Brussels. And my last job in the military was instructor in computer science. I have a Commodore 64 since 1983. And well, it was really the beginning. I think the first was in 1982, just it was all new. I had a cassette recorder. Only a year later, I had a floppy drive. I had just BASIC. And when I wanted to use machine code, I had to translate it by hand. So now that I'm retired, I started to make programs and things with the Commodore 64 again. And what I want to do in this project here is building an environment for the Commodore 64 without existing tools. So just like it is in 1983, I'm programming just in BASIC. If I'm using machine code, I want to do it by hand. And if I want to use other tools, well, I have to make them myself. That's the project. I don't know where I'm going to, what I'm going to reach, but I started with building a compiler. A good 25 years ago, I read the book, the very good book, Compiler Construction of Niklaus Wirth, the maker of Pascal. And some 10 years ago, I started to make a PL0, Programming Language 0 compiler in Pascal. And a little bit later, a very, very small Pascal compiler, also in Pascal on a PC. For those interested, I added there the GitHub addresses where that is. Yes, I had fun with that, but no, for the Commodore 64, I wanted to do the same. In fact, I wanted to make a programming language 0 compiler for the Commodore 64 in BASIC. But of course, there are some problems. BASIC is not structured. It's not very verbose. And when you have to write a program which is a little bit complicated, like a compiler, well, you have to have those things. Variable names are also a problem. We have only 2 significant letters for a variable. We don't can give a name to a subroutine, so that's very difficult. And of course, the compiler, like Wirt proposed, it's recursive and it uses local variables, but we don't have any local variables in BASIC. So I thought to do it another way, but no, I don't want to give up. I thought about it, and it is very good possible to do it. After all, structure, it's not because BASIC is not a structured language. We can work structured. The only thing we have to do is have some discipline to keep the structure in it. Verbose, well, we have to comment. Variable names, well, make a list, make a pen and paper, and you can make a list with all the variables you use. Well, it works. Same thing for the line numbers. Also, for the subroutines, well, use a comment. If you call something, add a comment what you're doing. Recursion is also not really a problem because the Go sub can handle 15 to 20 levels when you're not using much things on the machine stack. So it's doable. The only thing that was left was local variables. So what do? We put them on the stack. So what I did was making a stack in BASIC with 2 procedures, 2 subroutines. One, put a value on the stack. Second, pop it back from the stack. And in fact, that's all I need to make this compiler in BASIC. I made myself things easy, and I did no file I/O. I put the code to be compiled, so the PL0 code, and the basic code from the compiler in one file. How did I do that? Well, I in my editor, in the basic editor, all in front is PL0, and that give me and all after line 4000, excuse me, before line 4000 it's PL0, after line 4000 it's my basic compiler. So I can very fast try things out and debug. I don't have to save a file, load a file, and I can very fast change some PL0 code, try it out, and yes, debug my compiler and change the things in my PL0 program. How did I do that? Well, I will show you in my demo, but I start every line from the PL0 section. I just started with a double quote. So the editor won't think it's a basic statement. It will think it's a string, and so it will not be tokenized. So I can simply read it and use it. Well, that's what I did for the moment. What will I do in the future? Well, first of all, cleaning up the code, because on the end, I was changing some little things. And even though I made it very structured, after I came to change things, well, hello spaghetti. So I have to clean up a little bit the code. I also want to write a text or a course or something from how did I make this compiler, a little bit introduction about languages, things like that. Then I will extend PL0, the compiler in BASIC, to write PL0 in itself. When I write PL0 in itself, I can go bootstrapping the thing, and it will be very more easy to extend it. I also want to make it faster, because for the moment it is very, very slow, because the compiler is in BASIC, but it doesn't compile to machine code. It compiles to a virtual machine. So it compiles to P code, and the P code is interpreted by a virtual machine written in BASIC. So it's not fast. The first solution would be to translate by hand the virtual machine to machine code. It's not that difficult to do. A better solution would maybe be to change my compiler to generate machine code, 6502 machine code in the place of P code. And another possibility would be to write a second compiler, a very small compiler, who would compile P code to machine code. But that's future. Then when I have something like that, I will extend again PL0 to write other tools. I can make an editor, make an assembler, and then I can also try to port it to other small systems that can be other old computers, or that can be small microcontrollers like Arduino or something like that. So that's what I intend to do in the future. Why want I do that? Well, there are a lot of people who say, why are you losing your time with the Commodore? Well, because it's fun. I like to do that. It's also something I wanted to do. I want to write that compiler, and well, I only change the platform. If I do that on a PC or I do that on the Commodore, it's, well, I like more to do it on the Commodore. It combines my hobby and my former job. And also I want to learn new things, and hopefully are people enough interested to so that I can teach them something new. Well, that's my day. That's my presentation. You have also the address and GitHub of the code. This will maybe change place, because if I do a more general project with, like I said, there were more tools, and maybe I will change it place. I don't know yet, but for the moment you can find my code there. And now I will do a small demonstration. Okay, I think I'm back on the screen now.
Yes, indeed.
Okay, and now I will, well, I will not show you what I did on the Commodore 64, because it will be too slow, and I only have 3 minutes left, I think so. So in fact, I have my code here in an editor, and I will use the, how is it named? The CBM basic to execute it, but it's exactly the same what happens on the Commodore 64. So for starters, on the first line, I'm go to 4000, where my compiler begins. And like I said, my PL0 program is here, starting with a quote. So it's not tokenified. It's just there, and it can be read from my compiler. I will, for demonstration, I will delete the comma, a semicolon, I'm sorry. And I will use CBM basic, and hop, here we are. It's exactly the same what would happen on the 64. And we have here our program is compiled, and he stops with, well, I deleted the semicolon, so the semicolon is expected, but begin is found. Okay, I will place it back, but I don't see much here because the light has become darker. I place, yes, the semicolon back. And I will again compile it, interpret it, I'm sorry, with CBM Basic, voila. What do I have here? I have the code which is compiled. It is compiled for the P code interpreter. So you see here the P code which is generated, and then the execution of the program. So what does my program? In fact, it will just doing a loop from 0 to max to 10, and it will each time call a subroutine who will display the number and the quadrat, the square of the number. So 0, 0, 1, 1, 4, 16, 5, 25, and that's it. So it's a little short, but I think it's in the time frame. If there are any questions, please go ahead.
Many thanks, Marc. Really, really nice indeed. I like what you said about the why. First reason is because it's fun. I think that's the main reason why we are all here, right? We do
yes.
we do things because it's fun. But no, I think it's really impressive. I don't know if there are questions. I don't see in the. Let me see in the chat on the Facebook page. No. Maybe I have one before the others in the call. I don't know. So you explained that okay, you do from you don't compile directly in machine code. You do in
P code.
go through this virtual machine and the P code. But then you said yes, with your just-in-time compiler that would go to P code and then to machine code. But then that would be even longer, right? So do you have any mean to get to compute the time that it takes, like for example, interpretation of the code that was executed there, and to compare it with what would be the result if it would be with this extra step?
The program you've seen when I executed in the 64, the compilation and the execution, it's I think 20 to 30 seconds now for the little program now. If you have time, I can show it. But for if I say I will change the virtual machine into machine code, I don't know. I didn't do it yet, so I have to see it the moment I do it. I have not a clue.
Okay.
I don't know. Are you interested to see it on the Commodore?
If you can, yeah, I think we can take a little bit of extra time to look at.
Okay, then I will. So my program is here. I will start Vice. Hello, Vice, where are you? Yes, there is Vice. And now I will inject it in Vice. Voila, no, it's compiling. Almost there.
And there you're running it with the, let's say, the real speed. It's not with.
That is with the virtual machine. Well, that's the code generated, and now the virtual machine is starting up.
Okay.
And you see it's slow. But of course, it's an interpreter written in an interpreter.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's still okay.
Very good to try out, because when I generate machine code and I make an error, well, the Commodore crashes. Here, when I make an error, well, it's basic. So it will give me an error and I can work with it. So in fact, I want to keep the P code generator and then compile from the P code generator to machine codes that will give me more meanings for debugging and for testing.
Good. Oh, many thanks. I see some questions. Let me see from Gekko. Okay, time was short, but very interesting. Is it a simil processor? Preprocessor. Maybe Gekko, you can unmute yourself and ask the
yes.
question.
Well, I maybe going
Hi.
to
Hi,
the
Dendo.
questions that I can read them myself.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, he's in the call.
I mean, like PHP, a preprocessor, and after you compile to machine code.
I'm sorry, I didn't get it.
I was asking if it was a sort of preprocessor, text preprocessor, like PHP, and after you compile in machine code.
PHP is a little bit too large for it stays a fun project, so I'm not really. I want to extend it maybe to a sort of small Pascal, but I'm never going to that far to make a real compiler of the size of PHP, or it's not really meant to work.
I mean, it was a sort of text preprocessor, like PHP. I don't know if you understand me.
You mean the approach is similar?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I really don't know how PHP just works, but I think PHP is on its same an interpreter, but I don't know.
Yeah,
but
yes. I mean,
it's the same principle of Java, for instance. Java is a compiler which codes to an and the intermediate code is interpreted by the Java virtual machine.
Okay,
so in fact, it's the same thing. It's the same thing that I'm doing here. It's not new. It's something Wirtz did in the end of the year in '68, I think. It's not new at all.
Okay.
It's well, I can do everything and test it out in BASIC, so I don't have to. Well, when I make an error in generated machine code, the thing crashes. I have to load it again, and so was that your question?
Okay.
Yeah, yes. Then I see here any plans for a compiler to support PET, VIC, or other platforms. Well, that was my last point in my slides. When it's finished, well, I can port it to other platforms. The only thing I have to do is just make a new virtual machine or rewrite the code generator to the new machine, and it will work. Like I think also to do it for an Arduino, for instance, or it will be possible. But for the moment, I stay on the 64.
Good, many thanks, Mark. I see as well comments from Dave
welcome.
Actually on the Facebook page that he really enjoyed the presentation. Very good. I don't see any other questions. Is there any other questions? Anybody in the call? If not, then again, many thanks, Mark. I will then stop the recording now. And then, yeah, it should be closed now. Perfect. And then I can call for the next speaker, which is Jeff. Yeah, I adore my 64. That reminds me of a commercial I've heard. So if you're ready, then you can unmute yourself. Maybe start sharing if you have something to share, and I will start the recording.
Yeah. Everything I have to share is right over my left shoulder. Yeah, thanks for having me. This will be probably a little less technical than the last talk, I'm nowhere near the brilliant minds, other brilliant minds that are obviously on this call. But yeah, I was invited in to talk about the film that independent film that I'm developing called I Adore My 64. That really centralizes on the Commodore 64 itself and the global impact that it's had on the history of computers, but also and specifically on the community that surrounds the 64 today. So there's been quite a number of films, videos, things out there about the history of Commodore as a company, the history of the Commodore 64 itself, and some of the major figures within the company, the president, Jack Tramiel, and other people. So I feel like, you know, that ground's sort of been covered. But this film is specifically about the people who are, you know, keeping the 64 alive today: preservationists, collectors, software engineers, hardware engineers. It's amazing to me that this gigantic community, global community, still exists today. So rolling back a little bit on my own story, you know, like a lot of people, and I think someone was even mentioning it earlier in this call, I got a Commodore 64 when I was 10 years old, and really was a huge part of my life. I wasn't somebody who, you know, was terribly interested in home computers before that, but for whatever reason, my parents decided to get that for us, and it really was just a seminal moment in my life. I spent a lot of time with it. Did learn how to program BASIC and had a lot of fun with that. But, you know, over time started to figure out that, like, you know, okay, these people were writing these video games. They're not writing it in BASIC because BASIC is way too slow to do that. You know, this is probably 6th or 7th grade for me. So I wanted to sort of figure out, like, okay, how's this being done? And of course, back then there was no, you know, publicly available internet. So I headed off to my local library, and I think I'd gotten the idea that it had something to do with assembly language from like some computer magazines that Commodore specific computer magazines I was getting at the time. I think it was Run magazine was probably the main one I read and subscribed to. And so I think from that I figured out that it's got something to do with machine language. So I went to the library, got a book on machine language, and it just flew right over my head, you know, being in 6th or 7th grade. So I never became, you know, a seminal coder, and probably honestly not smart enough to do that. But in 2017, around 2017, 2018, my second daughter was born. And, you know, as a lot of new parents, you're up crazy hours of the night taking care of, you know, your newborn. And I was poking around on the internet and came across a video from Dan Wood. If any of you guys recognize that name, he's one of the hosts of the Retro Hour podcast. And he created this video probably about 10 years ago now, showing how the Commodore 64 could get on the internet. And I was like, what? Just, you know, my mind just about exploded. I'm like, no way. And just watching that video, it sort of reignited my interest in the 64. You know, the original 64 I had is just like the one behind me. It was a bread bin. And I probably had that from like 82 or 83 to like 90-ish. And then maybe 89. And it blew up. I think it was the VIC-2. In hindsight, the VIC-2 chip probably blew up. Just lost video on it, but ended up getting a C64C and kept that right up until I left for college, and still have that one, and it still works. So just amazing that some of these original machines, you know, 40, 41 years later are still running. But so yeah, Commodore was a part of all my growing up years. And then when I went to college here in the States, you know, the Amiga was not a popular machine for people at home. You know, we didn't really have the 500s and the 1200s in our market. But one thing that it was really had a presence in was video editing, with the advent of the NewTek video toaster. So the video toaster kind of democratized video editing and filmmaking, you know, for the average person, you know, kind of in the way that computers did that for desktop publishing. You know, it used to be that was a very expensive proposition to get into. And all of a sudden computers kind of democratized that. And it was the same with video editing and the Amiga. And so I became a communications major in college, and that really started my filmmaking career. And I used an Amiga 2000 there and got really familiar with it and fell in love with it. And then at my first job too, as a video production and editor and filmmaker, I used an Amiga 2000 with a video toaster for a number of years. So Commodore continued to be a part of my life, and I kind of left off of it probably like 2000 or so. But then, like I said, back in 2018, 2017, saw that video from Dan and really launched my interest in it again. And, just became a part of the worldwide community through the internet. Like the internet has done so much for retro computing in general, and Commodore and the 64 specifically, because there's just so many people around the world who now can be connected to each other through the internet. And I was just really floored by all of that, like how many people, not only in North America, in the States where I live, but everywhere, just so interested in the 64, still developing hardware. There's new games coming out all the time for the 64. It seems like every day can do more and more amazing things. Somebody was got Linux to run on a Commodore 64, sort of. And so, just like this things we're seeing today, there's just so many amazing people that are still working with it. And why? It was kind of like you were just saying, like, because it's fun. It's still fun and people still love it. So yeah, the idea for the film really began because, as I was saying, I'm not a coder, and I'm definitely not a hardware developer. I've since I got back into it, I have bought and sold a number of 64s and have a collection, and a lot of the things I never had when I was growing up, like a PET and Amiga 1200, Amiga 500, plus plus fours, and of course 64s. I have a good number of 64s. But I started to think about, well, I'd really like to contribute to the community, because so many people along the way helped me. They helped me in repairs, they helped me understand different things, and like, what can I do, to sort of give back to this community? And I can't develop software. I can't really develop hardware. That's not going to be the ways that I can contribute. But, that point, I'd been a filmmaker for 25 years. So I started to think about, like, what kind of film could I do that would really benefit the community? And sort of had this aha moment of like, well, why not make a film about the community? That would help the community. And sort of saw that as a gap in some of the content that's been produced over the years, especially in the last 10 years. There's been a good number of documentaries and tons of videos, and they are all great. I'm not knocking them at all, but I think sort of the history has been covered. So I think what people really don't know about is the community as it exists today. I know I was shocked to find out about it. And, here we are all sitting together in this call. It's just another testament to the fact that this community is out there and exists. And I think there are many people that grow up with a 64 and would probably enjoy re-experiencing it and being a part of a community that loves it, but they don't know about it. I didn't know about it. And yet, I have a couple 64 t-shirts, and whenever I'm out and about where I live and I wear them, almost invariably I get somebody who's like, hey, is that computer from the 80s? And I say, yeah. And that's when the stories start pouring out, like, oh, I had one of those when I was a kid, spent so many hours on it, played this game and that game, or I played it at a friend's house, or we just would stay up all night, and just that, like, it's such a cultural phenomenon, and yet in some ways that's sort of been lost in history. Like, if you talk to people today, especially, I think if you talk to anybody 35 or under and you ask them, what do you think is the most popular best-selling home computer of all time? They're going to probably say the IBM PC, or they're going to say the Apple II, because, those are the companies that were kind of the winners, right? They still exist today. They went on. But the truth is, the Commodore 64 is still the #1 best-selling home computer, single model in all of history. And it's just an amazing testament to the cultural impact it had. And yet that's sort of been erased from the general consciousness. Of course, the people in the community love it and know how impactful it was, but people outside the community tend to think, oh yeah, Apple was responsible for all that. And it's been really interesting. You know, one of the things that we wanted to do right away in order to sort of gain people's confidence and trust in our ability to do this was produce a 10-minute preview. So in some of those interviews, there's been some amazing details that have come forward, including, like, you know, the fact that Apple might not even have existed without the engineers from Commodore, because Steve Wozniak and Steve Jobs were in their garage working on the Apple I, and they actually couldn't get it working until Chuck Peddle, you know, an engineer from Commodore, came over and assisted them. And during that conversation, it's reportedly, and I've heard it from several different sources, so I tend to think it's true, that Steve Jobs said to Peddle, like, oh, we're going to be a really huge computer company when we launch this project. Commodore should probably buy us. And he offered Apple to Commodore for $2 million right there on the spot. And Wozniak talked about, like, how embarrassed he was by that. But just think if that had happened, like, the history between Apple and Commodore would be completely different. But yeah, I think that's part of the purpose of the film too, is just sort of to write some of the details of history and help people understand that the Commodore 64 really was just a force within the early home computer market. You know, it's definitely not going to be a history film. And I think if you watch the preview, the 10-minute preview, which has done amazingly well, it's got like 70,000 views already. And you will see in there that it's really about the people. You know, we love the 64, and you know, it's amazing what it can do, but it's sort of like an examination of the people who love it today and who are still keeping it alive. So it's not a history video, and it's not extremely technical on any level, but it is a lot of fun visiting these different people and seeing their passion and their love for the 64. So up to this point, the interviewees that we've met with and shot with and appear in the preview are David Murray, who, you know, better known as the 8-bit guy, and then Bo Zimmerman, who, if you're involved in the Commodore scene at all, you probably have heard Bo's name. You know that he has a gigantic collection of Commodore PETs, Amigas, Commodore PCs. Like, he has a ton of stuff. And he has contributed an enormous amount to the community, software, hardware. Like, he was an awesome guy, and David too, just both very humble. All the people we have interacted with have been really humble and gave really great interviews and were very gracious to us. And then we had a chance to interact with the Toronto PET Users Group, you know, which is the oldest Commodore users group in existence. And has been running for, I forget how many years. Like, being called the Toronto PET Users Group, you can imagine how long it's been running. And they run a show called World of Commodore every year, which is a big show outside of Toronto, and we visited that. And then we had a chance to interview one of the members and who has been involved in leadership of TPUG in the past, and that's Leif Bloomquist, and he gave a great interview as well. And then the fourth interviewee is Anthony Becker. And he, for a long time, was a part of the Guru Meditation channel. And he has a huge collection himself and tells a story about how he really started out on the 64. And one of the prized possessions in his collection is a prototype Commodore 65, which not everybody knows about. And he relates a story about how he bought that for $40. And now some of those Commodore 65 prototypes have sold for, I think, $80,000 is the top price I've heard. So he said to me, yeah, should have bought a few more. Might have been able to retire by now. So just, it's been so much fun up to this point, but up to this point, it's been a pretty much self-funded effort. And so I've kind of reached as far as I can go under my own steam. So I'm really hoping that the community will get behind this effort and make the film become a reality. So we're about a little over halfway through our 30-day campaign. We started September 5th and it ends October 5th. And we're at about roughly a little bit over a quarter of our goal right now, which seems low, but when looking at the analytics from the platform we're using, it's actually, for the most part, performing above average. So we're still very hopeful that we're going to meet our goal of $25,000. And, you know, the further we go above that goal, then, you know, the higher quality, the longer the film can be, and the more people that we can interview and bring into the film. So yeah, I really appreciate the time here, and I'll of course entertain any questions that might come up, but I've gone over already, so I apologize for that.
No, that's fine. You're more than welcome. Many thanks.
Yeah.
There are certainly questions. At least I have a few. So yeah, never best served than by myself. I will start with my
All right. Yeah, no problem.
yeah. So indeed, I was going to ask about the crowdfunding status, but you just mentioned it. But then yeah, because I watched actually the 10 minutes preview that is available, and that looks really good. But so that was my question. It's already filmed, I guess. So you have this crowdfunding. Is it then for the distribution? Do you have already plans, like how will that be distributed? Is it via your own platform or via film distributors? Can we expect that to be, I don't know, I would say like on yeah, Amazon Prime or Netflix? Or
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a great question. So it's explained somewhat in the on the campaign website, but the funding is actually for the production. So the big advantage that I have is that I'm able to do all the post-production myself at basically zero cost, because I have been a filmmaker and editor for 20 years. So the expense of the film, of course, is, you know, equipment to shoot it and the travel costs. And that's what really makes the documentary maybe more expensive than like a documentary that somebody might shoot in a local area and they don't have to travel very far. It's like, well, the interviewees are all over the place. And of course, it takes time, money, and effort to get to where they are and interview them where they are. And really, that was the approach we wanted to take from the very beginning. Like, you know, we could very easily record video calls, but it's a different feel when you can be on site with that person, see their collection, shoot B-roll, you know, interview them one-on-one. And so if you watch the preview, you kind of understand the style of the film and the direction that we're going. So, but the target deployment is Amazon Prime. And the reason for that being that Netflix is and some of the other streaming platforms, their standards are very high. And if I tried to meet those standards, we'd be into the hundreds of thousands of dollars to try to qualify for those platforms. So I don't want to try to run it on my own platform either, because then I think it will probably hurt viewership. But our goal right now is to make it as the final goal is to make it something that can be purchased on Prime and watched. And there are Blu-ray incentives for people who donate $75 or more. So, you know, if you jump in and you pledge at that level, then you'll end up with probably what's going to be very, very few of the, you know, quote unquote hard copies of the film. And there's some other incentives there too, you know, which you can check out. But yeah, Amazon Prime is our target deployment.
good. Yeah, many thanks.
Yeah.
I don't know if there are other questions. Otherwise, let me see in the chat. I don't see on Facebook neither. But maybe then just a comment, an extra comment from my side. You mentioned that Amiga was not for the home users in the US, while actually in Europe it was mostly used by home users. So it's really quite a difference there. And then when I understand that in your career, so you've been using more Amigas than certainly than 64, of course. So maybe that's your next film now?
Well, there's Viva Amiga, which I'm sure maybe a lot of you have seen or heard of. That's a great documentary about the Amiga, and they interview some essential people in there who, you know, were a part of its creation and development. But yeah, I think there's always room for more content about whether it's the 64 or Commodore machine in general, or other machines. Like that's sort of a wide open field. And so, yeah, I think there's a lot more opportunity out there.
Good. Thanks.
Yeah.
Anybody from the call, any questions? I don't see them in the chat, but maybe I'm not. So if you have a question, just shoot it.
No
Apparently
question,
not.
but looking forward to the film.
Oh, thank you. I don't know who that was, but thank you.
It's right. It's Jessica.
Oh, Jessica, there you are. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Good, many thanks. I will then stop the recording, and I think I will use. So you mentioned, yeah, you mentioned as well. One thing is that there are new games, and you are amazed that there are new games starting being launched like every day, and that's my transition. Actually, you gave it that to me. A nice transition to Jessica,
Oh,
which is
sorry.
next, who is next with PET Life Cycle. And by the way, I see. So Jessica, your family name is Petersen. We have also
Yes.
Sven. Are you somehow related? Is that all the
Well,
Petersen family
yeah.
from all over the world, or are you?
Possibly. My family was from Denmark originally and immigrated to America in the 1800s. So it's possible.
Okay, yeah, good. So you're next with PET Light Cycles, which is a nice game. So let me start also the recording, and you can start. I don't know if you're going to start sharing something or just introducing yourself, but give me 1 second. Yeah, recording is on. And the floor is yours, Jessica.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Thanks for having me on to talk about my game, Light Cycles. So this is the first game that I've released, really, for Commodore 8-bits. So I guess I should start with who I am. I, like many of us probably in this group, started with a Commodore computer back in the 1980s. I think the first computer I ever used was actually a PET. And my father would take me to work, and they would let me use the PETs they had in the office. And then in school, I learned the Apple II, and then I got my own Commodore 64 in 1985. And I would write games in BASIC and other programs and things, but I always found BASIC very limiting. And then eventually I went on to get a degree in electronics, and after graduation I kind of regained interest in 8-bit computers, and specifically the Commodore 64. So I got a little bit into like cracking games, breaking copy protection, and things like that. I was active on Usenet, ComSys, CBM in the 90s. More recently, I was talking with a friend of mine, Jim Happel, who's developed a joystick and sound interface for the PET called the Stupid Pet Tricks module. I don't know if anyone has heard of that here, but it's a product he sells through his website. I have a link to this in my presentation. So Jim and I were discussing a game that we could potentially write that would take advantage of this joystick interface to create a 2-player game. And I think he actually suggested the classic Tron Light Cycle game as a good candidate. So I started writing this game in BASIC. And of course, it was very slow when I finished writing it. So I started looking at ways that I could make it run at a reasonable speed. I looked at compiling my BASIC program and found that there wasn't really great solutions for that. So I determined I would rewrite the game in a language called Turbo Rascal, or TRSE. So this is a more modern language. It's a cross compiler, which creates assembly code. And it's very similar to Pascal. So I rewrote the game in TRSE, and it was a lot of fun, to be honest. It was very easy to use this language, and I was able to get it done in a pretty short amount of time. If I had tried to write the entire game in assembly, I would still probably be working on the PET version. So the initial version I wrote for the PET in BASIC, rewrote it in Turbo Rascal for the PET, and more recently I've ported this to the VIC-20, and I'm currently working on the Commodore 64 version. So the C64 version is almost done. I want to use the most of the machine that I can. So using all the features, I want to add sprites, kind of like improve the graphics and things. But it is fully playable as of right now. So my plans going forward, once I finish the 64 version, I think I'll do one for the +4. I want to take advantage of the improved palette, the color palette on the +4. So I'll probably have the trails, like, leaving like a gradient instead of being a solid color. I'm considering making like a deluxe version of the game that would probably have like teams of cycles. So maybe like could be like up to 4 like human players, and then like maybe 4 computer players or more. It'd be like a battle royale. Other projects I have in mind, I have a lot of old BASIC games that I have never released because they run too slow because they're in BASIC. But I'm thinking I may rewrite these and release them at some point. A lot of other plans for games, but obviously time limitations are the biggest factor. And then I'm also planning to fix more PET games to work with the stupid PET tricks module. Because there are, there's a pretty good selection of games on the PET, but unfortunately most of them don't support joystick control. So one of the things I've been helping Jim with is converting these older games so they can make use of the his joystick adapter. And so if you visit his website, he actually has a download disk that has all this collection on it. Okay, so at this time, I think I'd like to give like a brief demonstration of the game, if I can.
Yes, of course, yes.
Okay, so this is a version that includes an Easter egg. So it should be featured in an upcoming episode. I'm just going to mute this real quick. So this should be featured in an upcoming episode of 8-Bit Show and Tell. I'm friends with Robin Harbron, who does that channel, and he mentioned to me he's doing a video on games with Easter eggs. So he suggested that I add an Easter egg to my game so he can feature it. So I'll give you a brief demonstration. All right, so this is the Commodore 64 version. All right, so under very specific circumstances, you can make the enemy opponent crash into the wall, and it will leave an opening in the wall, which you can then drive through. So that accesses the Easter egg. So this is kind of a joke about the Vintage Computer Festival we just had in Chicago, which is a VCF Midwest, with the parking lot was completely full of cars, and many people had to park far away. So I just thought it would be fun to include in the game. So yeah, so that's my game. Any questions? Anyone?
Is the C64 version available right now, or are you still working on it?
It is available for download. It's in beta right now. I can share the link in the chat. So my games are on itch.io. They're yeah, they're published as donationware, so you can download them for free.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's really nice. Thanks to many thanks. I probably lost the sound for a few seconds, so I didn't get that we were already at the questions. I see. I'm reading the comments now. I see. I love the Easter egg. Yes, me as well. Thank you. Either too early or too late in the season, but it's not Easter yet.
See.
Pretty good. Maybe one question from my end. So first of all, can you hear me well now? Because
I hear
I
you.
was not
Yeah.
sure. Yeah. Okay. Perfect. So you said that you're also converting games, but are you then starting them really from the original source code, or are you just rewriting them from scratch?
Oh no, as far as fixing the games, which are you talking about the games that I'm fixing to work with the joystick adapter, or
No,
creating
you
different
mentioned
versions?
that you are converting some games to this version, to this joystick, to make them work with the joystick.
Right. So fixing these older games, obviously there's no source code available for these PET games that were written 40, 50 years ago. So basically just take the binary and I'm just hacking the binary. Basically, I use a machine language monitor, and I will search the code for places where I can see that it's reading like the keyboard interface, so I can see where where it's getting the control mechanism in the program. So I can just I usually hijack that and then patch some assembly code at the end to read the stupid pet tricks module, and then jump back to where the code expects to be.
Good. Thank you.
Any
I had
other
actually the
questions?
same. I had the same question, but you answered already about the C64 version. So yeah, you said you will put the link somewhere. That's in the chat. That's very nice. When you do so, do you also post the code somewhere? Do you have like a GitHub or something? Or
I do have GitHub. I will post my GitHub link as well. So the source code for light cycles, for now, it's not public. So I think once I finish making different versions, I will make it public. My fear is if I make it public before I'm done, then someone might release a version for a platform before I'm able to do it.
Yeah, that's a risk, of course. Yeah.
Right.
Definitely. I see some comments on Facebook as well. There are some people attending there, and I see I can read it for you from Dave. Awesome to hear about another Turbo Rascal success story. Love the Easter egg. Yeah,
Great.
enjoy it.
Glad to hear it.
Good. I don't have any other question. I don't know if anybody from the attendees have a questions. If so, then please unmute yourself.
Okay. Thanks for having me on.
If not, then yeah, well, many thanks to you, Jessica. I will stop the recording now. And then we can call last one for today. That's Gennaro. So Gekko Amiga emulator. Are you still with us, Gekko? Yes, you need to unmute yourself.
It's my time.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
I thought it was Sven time. Okay. Where to share? Okay. I must share the video. Help me to share the video. Do you hear me?
Yes, yes, I can hear you, but I don't see something
I'm
being
trying to
shared.
share the video, but I don't remember where is the. Can you help me?
There is a screen, like
Okay.
a
Found it.
square with an arrow. Do you find it?
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you see anything?
Not yet. Ah, yes, yes, something is loading. Yes, I can see your screen now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Ok, launching the emulator. E allora,
Perfect.
tell
Maybe
me when.
while you do that, maybe you can also start introducing yourself. I will just start the recording now, so that it's up to you.
Okay.
That's it. Floor is yours, Gekko.
Okay. Hi. I'm here again to show my current emulation coding. This time is the Amiga time. Uh, is not completed yet, but is not. Is quite well. I worked the last week on the audio. That was very difficult, and I launched it while I'm talking. Okay, I don't know if you know me. Um, I think I know Sven in this uh, in this chat. I'm Gekko, Gennaro. I'm 46
And
years old.
sorry to interrupt you, just Gekko. I'm really sorry, Sven. I just noticed that I missed you. Is it okay for you if you go next? Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Thank you. Sorry again. Please continue, Gekko.
This is the mean I told I was unready
Yeah,
before.
yeah. It's my fault. It's my fault. It's all on me. Sorry.
Can
Please.
I go?
Yes, yes. Please continue. Yeah.
Okay, for me, there's no problem. If
No, no.
Sven.
Please continue.
Okay, okay. Um, I was saying I'm 46 years old. I I am a coder, and I started with the Commodore 64 in the um, 80, 84, 85. I was very young, and I already done some emulation uh, some years ago in 2005 with the Java, but on a Java applet on the web. But and the last 2 years, 3 years, I tried to make some port on my emulator, my personal emulator, on the iOS, but Apple don't accept emulators, so I switched on the Android side, and it's going very well because I'm working very hard on the emulation. I enjoyed to study the processor of the 64, and now I'm doing the Amiga, and and the hardness I found on the 64 is nothing compared to this. So this is I think you see the share screen, right?
Yes, yes. We can see your screen. Yes.
Okay. This is based on the code of the 64. So the guy, the UI is about the same to do faster. Um, the some ROMs are on my server, so they are called on internet. And now I'm trying to center the screen of the Amiga because the screen of the Amiga is very strange. Resolutions are not one, but are many resolutions. And I added these buttons to stretch the screen. I emulated the mouse so you can use the finger on the touch screen of the cell phone, of the smartphone, and you can use also on TV, because I'm trying to get those emulators very fast also on TV, on old TV. And you must use the D-pad console. Anyway, the audio can be here. Could be here. The audio, no?
I can hear. I guess it's coming from your micro, from your probably from your microphone.
From the
not
microphone,
from
okay.
from the...
The emulation is 100% event driven. So PAL on the PAL and NTSC version must be 99, 100%. I think all of you know Defender of the Ground. What can be done on this emulator? On the Amiga emulator is a little different from the C64. When you can program, you can use the edit box you see under the screen to program or to copy and paste some basic program. Here you can only, for the moment, you can only play or launch a ROM. You can reset, obviously. You can close, you can change the colors, but it's not. Vediamo che posso vedere, vedete. Okay. Now I'm working. You can see the debug of the viewport in OpenGL, because I can't understand. I don't know how Amiga change the resolution. On Amiga, you can choose also 200 for for one, and I'm trying to do an auto center and stretch based on the actual current resolution. There is the mouse, obviously, because you on the touch screen can do, so you can use the mouse. You can use the joystick. In this moment, the music goes in ever. Okay. You can switch floppy disk. So just using a mount and press 5 of the button on mouse, the floppy disk checker is continuous, because on the Amiga I remember the floppy disk is the motor of the floppy disk was always on, and nothing. My emulator is this. Okay, okay. It's very fast. You can switch to super fast speed like on all the emulators, just like this. There's the auto fast load. Okay, this is the fast. Okay. But you see, I have a problem with the sound because in that moment we have an error on the sampler rate, and nothing. I had also some problem to get a good workbench to get the most part of the ROM compatible. And I choose the 1.3. I hope to complete it before Christmas, because I'm doing some other fix on the Commodore 64 emulator that now is really stable, and I will publish it only on Android for the moment, and maybe for the Mac OS, but I don't know if Mac OS could be published. This is it. Okay. Is written in C++. Not from scratch. This time I used some tables for opcode because on C64 was very less. On the Amiga there are too many chips to emulate, so I had to look here and there. Because my time is very little in the day, so I don't pass a life to to study all the chip of the Amiga. But I like Paula for the music, and there are many interesting chips on the Amiga. But I love the C64, and this is my my emulator for Android.
Is it time for questions then, or?
This is the part of the screen that making me crazy.
Yeah. So is it time for questions now? Or?
Question? I don't see
Yeah.
the chat.
Okay. No. There are nothing yet in the chat, I guess. But maybe maybe I can start then, because indeed you mentioned the screen resolution, and I think that's always an issue when we are, especially when you are switching from one device to the other. You know, like you can have it nicely on a tablet, and you look if you use it on a phone, then it's smaller. In practice. You start with a default resolution, or is it like
No,
recalculating based on the
it's not a
device?
device problem, Sebastian. Imagine the PC old resolution, 640 for the 4080. On the Amiga, there's no default resolution. You can choose what you want. So some coders used 200 because NTCS was smaller in 8. In the PAL version is 256. So you don't know. I tried also to read in the file if there was a memory address where you can read the date, but it's not possible. So you must. I don't know how to do. I have to I have an idea and
So, but is it up to the user to configure it, or do you come with like a default configuration that is the best fit for all? And
yeah, I had the keys to stretch the screen, but I want an auto thing. It's more professional, and I will do it, of course, but with with some patience and time.
okay. That may be another question I had with the ROM. Does it come with the free these free arrows ROM, or are you supposed to then load your own ROM?
The ROM is a good question. The ROM comes from my server, so the ROMs are mine. That I have, of course, the original software. Also, how I done on the C64. But I will add an option where you can insert an URL where to auto load and max 4 floppy disk, because I don't support yet the VH. Uh, no, I don't remember how it was
WHD
called.
load. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
WHD. Yeah.
yeah. But I will study it too.
Okay, so that will be in a later
Because I
version.
want, if you play a game and imagine you play a soccer game and you modify the team, the names of the players. I want you can save them. If you load which load on internet, it's difficult to save in another space on internet. So it's very hard. For the moment, is in this way. I will work on it.
Okay, good. Many thanks. So you said you expect to have it released by Christmas. Is that what you said?
Yeah, I hope before Christmas, and I
Before
hope
Christmas.
2 weeks before Christmas.
That would be
Just to
super
don't have
nice.
surprise, to don't have surprise from Google on it. Do you know what I mean?
No, but that's just the right time, because then people are on holiday and they can play with it during.
Having a little time in the day, sometimes I do mistakes and I publish these emulators with the big mistakes inside. So I want to avoid these things.
Yeah. No, but then you get free testers as well. Huh? People will just test it and report the bugs. So that's good. Good. No, many thanks. I don't know if there are any other
It will
questions from
be
the.
free.
Sorry, can you say again?
My emulators are always free. They don't cost anything. Just a
That's
little advertise, but
That's really nice from you. I see questions. Okay, question like a joke from Jeff. Does it run Doom? But actually, there is a Doom version for Amiga, right? So I guess it would. Yeah. Good. Any other questions from the attendees? If not, many thanks again, Gekko. I think I will close the recording now.
sorry, Sven.
Yeah. And then indeed back to Sven. I'm really sorry. You know what? I think I was disturbed by the name. I watched the list on the left side of my screen, and then I saw Petersen is gone. So there was one already. So it's no. I'm really sorry. So now it's
No problem.
It's your time. Many thanks. And just tell me when you're ready. Then I will start recording.
I'm ready.
Okay, then I start recording, and the floor is yours, then.
Okay, so do you see the presentation right now?
I can see your screen. Yes, PET
Okay,
diagnostic
perfect.
clip. Thank you.
So many of you know that I have already done a harness for the C64 and also for the VIC-20. So what was still missing was a diagnostic thing for the PETs. And it was a project going on for some time because I did not really know what to do with it. But finally, I have found out everything that I needed to know, and it was almost working. And so I got a PET diagnostic clip, which is an original tool from Commodore. I got it working and released on GitHub. So may I introduce myself? My name is Sven Petersen. I was born in 1965. Yes, I'm an electrical engineer. I told that everything last time, so keep it short. And I have a couple of things on GitHub. I think it is 55 repositories right now. And one of that is the diagnostic clip for PET. So, okay, the diagnostic clip is an original Commodore diagnostic tool, which actually attaches to the CPU, to the 6502, with a clip cable. and it forces the computer to run the diagnostic software on it, and it has like two dongles, which is a keyboard dongle and a user port dongle to test the interfaces. There are two hardware versions of the diagnostic harness, the diagnostic clip. One is for the non-CRTC machines, and one is for the CRTC machines, those who have a dedicated chip for controlling the CRT, the cathode ray tube. Also, there are a couple of versions. One is for the versions of the software. One is for the non-CRTC 40-column PETs. One is for the 40-column CRTC, like the 40 CBM 40, whatever, 32, and one is for 80-column CRTC. Oh, I misspelled that. One is for the 40-column CRTC machines. Okay, so. Okay. So this is a drawing of the original diagnostic clip set. I've taken it from Testing the PET Computer, which was issued in 1978. It contains of a box. This box holds an EEPROM, which is the diagnostic software, and it has this diagnostic clip which attaches to the 6502. And there are those two dongles I have already mentioned before. The disadvantage of the clip is that it is actually not really reliable. I was told that sometimes you have to try it a couple of times before you can really start the actual software. The other thing is the DIP40 clip connector is quite expensive. I've looked it up a couple of days ago. A model from DigiKey, a model from 3M is like $94 on DigiKey. The next thing is the dongles are hand wired, so you might make mistakes when you build them. Yes, so this is a picture of the original diagnostic set or diagnostic clip. This is, you can see here, it really clips on the CPU and the two dongles. I didn't take this picture myself. I found it on the internet and I got the permission to use it. This is my development. It's a little bit different. I circumvent the use of the clip. I've made like a little adapter board which attaches with a short ribbon cable, and you install it in the CPU socket, and you install the CPU in the socket on the adapter board. The diagnostic with the box is a little bit different because it is more, there's more things present there. Number one, you can switch between non-CRTC and CRTC computers. Number two, you can select the firmware that you are running. Number three, it has the reset button was already on the original, but I have a switch for removing or activating the clip. That means you don't have to pull anything off. You just switch it off, and then the software is running. The two dongles are not wired up. They are just using a PCB. And yeah, this is for the user port. This is closed, but you will see later how it looks inside. So this is inside of the diagnostic box. You have the EEPROM. Usually I put a label on it, but this is just for the photo. You have the dip switch, you have the selector between CRTC and non-CRTC, and you have it's actually only 7420 LS20. The original chip was the original box was using 74 LS 138. So, and this is the switch that you use to remove the clip virtually. This is the diagnostics clip installed inside a 3016. So this is a non-CRTC machine with 16 kilobytes of RAM. You see the switch. Here is active, and later you remove it just by sliding it over. Oh, and there's a keyboard dongle. The user port dongle can be seen in the back, and I still had something back in the cassette port, which doesn't matter. Okay, so this is something I didn't know before, or not totally, or not in a way that satisfied me. You have to force the computer to run the software from the EEPROM inside the box. So there are two methods, one for a CRTC pad and one for the non-CRTC pad. The CRTC pads have a signal called no-ROM. This is attached to pin 5 of the 6502, which is actually a not connected pin. So you can use this to get the signal from the box inside the main board. And what it will do is it will switch off all EEPROMs. I didn't show the part of the schematic here because I think maybe it's a little bit too complicated, but you will switch off all EEPROMs inside the CRTC main board, and the diagnostic software is executed at the direct addresses of $F XXX. So the reset vector, which is present in every kernel ROM, in every ROM executed on 6502, is located at FFFC, and it points to F000, which is the start of the diagnostic software. And on reset, the diagnostic software is executed. The non-CRTC pads don't have any no ROM signal. So they do another trick, which is, I'm not so really sure if I really like it, because it is just pulling the address lines A13 and A14 too low, which means that it's like a short circuit of those two address lines. So a kernel access, which is actually at $FXXX, is redirected to $9XXX. This is, if you have a look at the binary, it is like 11111. This is F. And since you pull the two address lines low, you have 1001, which is $9. So that is actually where an option ROM is present on a PET. So this is free address space. It will not collide with anything in case you don't have an option ROM installed. So the reset vector is this way, located at $9 FFC, and it points to $9,800, which is like the beginning of a 2K EEPROM inside the diagnostic box, and the diagnostic software in there will be executed on power up or reset. So there are two parts of the diagnostic software. On reset, you just start the EEPROM software and it will do some very basic testing. It will initialize the peripherals that you will need, like the PIA, the VIA, and if there's one present in your machine, the CRTC. The video RAM will be tested. So when you run the test, you will see something running through the screen. And the next, the result is displayed on the screen. The next is testing the 0 page, which is address space between 0 and FF. And the next is, you need this for running probably most software. And the next important thing is the stack. Actually, it's more important because this is what you need to have in case you are running a subroutine. You know, the address is stored on the stack, and when the subroutine is ended, the address is gotten back from the stack. So in case you don't have this properly running, you cannot run most of software. Okay, so the next thing is the actual test software is copied to the RAM at address 0200. And after it is copied, it is verified that it is properly copied. So this part of the RAM is also tested. And then you see remove the clip and is blinking. The software that is running is actually monitoring the reset vector. So if it changes, if you pull off the clip or switch off the clip, if you do that, you know, the original reset vector is appearing again. And the modified vector, or that is the vector from the diagnostic EEPROM is then gone, and you see the original reset vector, which is different. So if this happens, if this changes, and this is successfully changing for over an amount of like half a second or so, so you don't have any bouncing on when you pull off the original clip, or well, bouncing is not that much the problem when you switch it off a little bit, but you know, so if this is successful, the actual test software will be running. So when I started the project, I just came to the screen and I saw remove the clip, and I thought, hey, this is over, that's all. And it took me a while to understand that I have to switch off the clip because I cannot remove it while the machine is running for further testing. So this is what you will see. This is on an 80 column machine on my 8032. There are a couple of tests performed. One is the video test. Then there's checksum test, horizontal video test, which means it will, it can detect the horizontal and vertical sync pulses because they are on the user port using that user port dongle. It will also test the RAM. It will do a checksum of the ROMs. I don't think it will really show, or it will complain if you have like your personal option ROM, your personal kernel ROM, and that will not complain, I think. It will test the refresh of the RAM, you know, because it's a dynamic RAM inside, and if it is not refreshing properly, you will lose content of the RAM over time. So it is like writing something into the RAM, then waiting a bit. The keyboard test is easy because it's with the keyboard dongle. The 50 Hertz IRQ test, that is, that's actually from the video. it will test the timers in the VR. It will test the cassette ports. The cassette port, some cassette port signals are on the user port and they are coupled in a certain way, so you can recognize if those signals are working. And the last is the test of the IEEE bus, which is there is no dongle, no feedbacks. It is done internally. You know, you can like write something and read it back without anything attached. So that is for the 80 column machine. Next is what it will look like on a 40 column machine. It is actually pretty much the same. As you can see, it is a little bit of different screen layout, and it will scroll. It will not be static like on an 80 column machine. So here's the user port dongle. And these are the feedbacks. So you see there's the TV video signal that is on the user port will be coupled back. Then the IEEE SRQ will be coupled. This is actually a signal that that is not used by Commodore peripherals, but it is tested. And my perfectly working 8032 had exactly this signal broken. So it took me a while before I could repair my 8032 to continue the test and to have this cycling, you know, the test software. There are a couple of other TV. Here you see the cassette port signals, which are all coupled, and here is the other TV signals on the user port, which are actually good enough to generate a video on a suitable interface. So you can connect a monitor, an external monitor, to your 40 column PET, and the 80 column needs a little bit of tweaking of the parameters for CRTC, but then you can also show a video signal on an 80 column machine. So this is the diagnostic keyboard dongle. I don't think that I have to really talk a lot about it. Commodore has a strange way to number the pins on the keyboard connector. They are really weird, which was a bit confusing when I have done this project. So, and this is the ribbon cable adapter. The ribbon cable adapter was before just, you know, pins to plug into the CPU socket, the socket on top, and a one-to-one connection of both, and a one-to-one connection of the pins to the ribbon cable connector, like here. I did not like another typo. I did not like the A13 and A14 being being pulled low by force. It was like, I don't want this in my PC, in my PET. So what I did was I added 2 AND gates, and they are using the no-ROM signal that I have on the ribbon cable anyways, which has no effect in a non-CRTC PET. And I did this when it was high. The AND gates were transparent for the normal addresses, and when it was low, the output was low. And this way, the A13 and A14 are gently forced to low and not brutally. This is a project which is not finished. It is a little bit on hold. Somebody asked me if I could do a diagnostic clip for the 8030 for the 8296, which is also like a CRTC machine with a little bit of extra RAM and stuff, and it's a very nice machine. I don't have one though, and I don't have the space to store one. So Christian asked me to make it, and he has shown me a couple of photos, and I could recognize from the Commodore assembly number that it was the same board like on his CRTC PET. So this should be working, I thought, and I made the dongles. They are also quite primitive because the wiring inside is on a PCB, and yeah, the clip is actually the same. And there's a user port dongle which is connected to the internal expansion port J4. So that is what we have. So yeah, this is what I already told you. Okay, so there's this breakout board for J4, which is connected via ribbon cable, because this is easier to build. Yeah, so there's a problem. The main problem is I don't have an 8296. So I have to rely on my cooperation partner. What I was not aware of when I have done the project is that the 8296 can switch off its ROMs to access a RAM that is below the ROMs in the address space. So it can switch the no ROM signal with a register inside. Yeah, that requires a minor modification. Because I don't pull off the diagnostic box, it will stay in place. I have to extra disconnect the no ROM signal. So if it switches the register, it does not all of a sudden have the diagnostic ROM in place of the kernel. Finally, all dongles are working. They were tested with the original clip, and it works. They were also tested with one board with a modified box. It works too. And then the problem occurred. He had a second board, he wanted to test it, and it died. I suppose it is a broken CPU socket, because those sockets have never been really great. And if you install the adapter board with the pins, you are maybe producing a disturbance of the force, and the socket finally breaks. That was my theory. So yes, here are some resources that I have used for making this project. That was the diagnostic software I have downloaded, or I have found it at Bo Zimmerman's website. So yeah, we already heard about him today. The next, he also had the information in some old chats about the diagnostic dongles. The next was the schematic of the box, a box that was from André Fachat. He has a page on 6502.org, and I have found a bit of information there, so I could finally fuse the PET version or the non-CRTC version and the CRTC version. The next, after I found out, I read how it actually worked. I read the 40 or 80 service manual from Retro Commodore EU. Then I have put some information about all that project and how it was working on my website, and this project is on GitHub. Thank you for your attention.
Many thanks to you, Sven. Let me see if there are questions. I see comments. The switch was a great idea, definitely. I love the fact that you built bugs on the target machine or the tools I have seen are not doing. No, that's true indeed. Yeah. Yeah, maybe you want to comment on that. Is it the fact that it reports on the target machine and well, you know, indeed other diagnostic tools are usually then connected to another computer where you have then you display or you do the diagnostics from something else. How? Yeah, why not having taken that approach? Is that something you have considered or?
My goal was actually to recreate the original Commodore tool, which already existed. That was like the same as with my C64 harness and with this VIC-20 harnesses. This is like recreating the original Commodore tools. And yeah, that's it, actually. So, I mean, it is no problem if you want to write your own test software and let it run on the PET this way. And the PET has one disadvantage, that is, it does not have like a cartridge slot, like the C64 and the VIC-20. So if you want to connect something to the internal bus, which is possible, you even have to generate your own supply voltage, because it only offers like 7 volt DC or 9 volt DC inside, and you have to have your power conditioning, so you have 5 volt or whatever you want to use inside your hardware to run it. So, well, it's not like in a PET, you know, where you not like in a C64 where you plug in your diagnostic cartridge and let it run, or whatever cartridge and let it run. It is a little bit more complicated.
Good, thank you. I see you might have already a customer here. I see a comment from Jessica. I could have used that diagnostic when repairing my 4032 PET. Great project. Yeah, good. Yeah, maybe that's also a good transition to my next question. So the I guess the hardware design and the software is on your GitHub, but then not everybody is good at building a hardware, right? I think you mentioned it yourself at the beginning that the wiring is usually can be quite tricky. So is that also available somewhere for just for sales somewhere with I don't know, maybe
actually
you have
not,
like
because I'm not really selling anything other than maybe prototypes that are leftovers. It does not fit with my text model.
But you know, sometimes there are some small
but if
or
somebody
smaller
would
companies.
if somebody would like to build it, I will offer every support I can.
Yeah, that's good to hear. Yeah.
I have done it with the C64 harness. I have made a version out of SMD parts, which the gentlemen in the retro computers scene don't like to solder, but the machines can do it much better than through-hole components, and it will be cheaper this way, or it is cheaper this way. So I have done something that everybody could build the harness. For the diagnostic clip, I don't have anything like this because it does not really make sense. There's not so much on the in the box, and the adapter is the CPU adapter is already SMT. I mean, there's a little IC in there. I couldn't use a bigger one, or I didn't want it, or whatever. So yeah, everybody who wants to build, I will offer my support.
Yeah, that's good to know. Many thanks for that. I think something absolutely amazing, I think, is the clip for the 8296, that you don't have one, but you're still able to build one. And okay, have it tested by someone else.
I was provided with the information required. Somebody had the original harness or the original dongles, and he measured it out, so I knew what was inside, and he read out the EEPROM. So I was running the EEPROM on my 8032, which works partly because it does not completely offer the same hardware, but it is partly the same. So yes, it worked. So I said, okay, so I can send him the stuff, and he could try it out on his machine. Unfortunately, his second machine died, which is the reason for the delay of the project.
Good. I'm looking at if there are any questions on Facebook. I just see, thanks, Sven, for your support of the retro hardware communities. Yeah. But no question. Is there any other question from the attendees in the call? If not, then again, many thanks, Sven. I will stop the recording now.
Okay. Bye.
Yeah. So many thanks. Yeah, many thanks to all. Of course, I think I mention it every time. If there are nobody to present their project, then of course there is no event. So thanks a lot to all of you participating today. Also for the attendees, I think we were not that much, like 10 people in the call at maximum, and 6-7 people watching the Facebook stream. But good thing, of course, you know it. All these, well, first of all, the Facebook stream remains available later on as well on the Facebook page. So that's, and I think it's even available for people who are not on Facebook. It's like public video, so that can be replayed. You can already share the video right after. I think maybe 2-3 minutes after that we close here. But also all the recording of the talks will be then published on our YouTube channel in the coming days. And for you, the participants, I will of course also share the MP4 file with you. So you do with it whatever you want, if you want to put it on your own website or on another channel or whatever. So many thanks. I will again start my sharing just to remind you that the next meeting is then foreseen in December. The exact date is not yet set, but that will definitely be in December, hopefully not during the Christmas week, but just before. So if you have new projects that you're working on or something that you want to promote, I would say, then don't hesitate to reach out as of already today, right? You can already propose that for the December meeting. I will start preparing the agenda very soon. And with this, I will close, and that's also a little Easter egg. Yeah? We spoke about Easter egg. You know it on the Commodore 64 BASIC. If you just type wait 6502, comma something, the number there will distribute the Microsoft Word several times on the screen. For those who didn't know from where this Microsoft here was coming from on the background page of our Facebook page, that's where it comes from, actually. Many thanks. I wish you all a good end of day or or evening for us in here in Europe. And I hope to see you and hear about your next project very soon. Many thanks. Have a good end of day. Bye bye.